Chapter 10. Civil Rights in America. Good afternoon, everyone. In our last session, we studied civil liberties, the protections that limit what government can do to us. Today, we shift to civil rights, the guarantees of equal treatment and protection under the law. Where civil liberties are about freedom from government intrusion, civil rights are about ensuring that all people can participate fully in society without discrimination. Defining civil rights are grounded in the 14th Amendment's Equal Protection Clause, which requires states to provide equal protection to all citizens. They extend beyond the Bill of Rights, focusing not just on individual freedom, but on fairness, access, and inclusion in public life, the historical struggle. The story of civil rights in America is in many ways the story of expanding the definition of we the people. Slavery and Reconstruction. The Civil War brought the 13th Amendment abolishing slavery, the 14th Amendment guaranteeing equal protection, and the 15th Amendment prohibiting racial discrimination in voting. Yet Reconstruction's promises collapsed under Jim Crow segregation and systemic discrimination. Civil rights movement, 1950s-60s. Landmark Supreme Court cases like Brown v. Board of Education, 1954, struck down school segregation, declaring that separate is inherently unequal. Grassroots activism, led by figures like Martin Luther King Jr., pressured the nation to act. This struggle culminated in the Civil Rights Act of 1964, which outlawed segregation and employment discrimination, and the Voting Rights Act of 1965, which protected access to the ballot. Beyond race, while civil rights are often associated with African American struggles, the scope is far broader. Women's rights. From the suffragists who secured the 19th Amendment in 1920 to the feminist movement of the 1960s and 70s, women have fought for equality in voting, employment, and education. Title IX of the Education Amendments 1972 ensured gender equity in schools and sports. LGBTQ+ rights. Once criminalized and marginalized, LGBTQ+ Americans have gained recognition through cases like Lawrence v. Texas, 2003, striking down sodomy laws, and Obergefell v. Hodges, 2015, legalizing same-sex marriage. The fight continues around issues like employment protections and transgender rights. Disability rights. The Americans with Disabilities Act, 1990, requires accommodations in public spaces and employment, advancing equality for millions of citizens. Immigrant and minority rights. Court cases and legislation have addressed discrimination against Latinos, Native Americans, Asian Americans, and religious minorities, extending civil rights protections to broader communities. The courts and standards of review. The Supreme Court plays a central role in civil rights by applying different levels of scrutiny when evaluating laws that classify people. Strict scrutiny. Applied to race, laws must serve a compelling government interest and be narrowly tailored. Intermediate scrutiny. Applied to gender, laws must serve an important government interest and be substantially related. Rational basis. Applied to most other classifications, laws only need a reasonable justification. These tests determine whether laws reinforce inequality or promote fairness. Continuing challenges. Civil rights struggles are not over. Debates continue over voting rights. After Shelby County versus Holder, 2013, many states changed election laws, sparking debates about voter suppression versus election security. Affirmative action. Programs aimed at increasing diversity in education and employment face ongoing legal and political battles, with critics arguing they amount to reverse discrimination. Policing and criminal justice. The Black Lives Matter movement has brought attention to racial disparities in policing, sentencing, and incarceration. Economic inequality. Civil rights now intersect with questions of access to healthcare, housing, and education, raising the issue of whether true equality requires not just legal rights, but social and economic reforms. Conclusion. Civil rights remind us that democracy is more than majority rule. It is the promise of equal citizenship. America's history is marked by struggles to expand that promise, from abolishing slavery to desegregating schools, to recognizing the rights of women, LGBTQ+ citizens, and people with disabilities. Each generation has faced the question, how fully do we live out the ideal that all men are created equal? As we move forward, keep asking, whose rights are still contested today? How should government balance equality with liberty and fairness with tradition? These questions remain at the heart of American politics. Next time, in Chapter 11, we'll turn to the legislative branch, examining how Congress functions as the first branch of American government.